I think there are varying levels of comfort when it comes to the size of things that we put in our mouth. And
I agree.
I think-
couldn't agree more.
I think there are-
I forgot my mic. Bienvenidos a Puro y Tacón. Welcome.
Thank you.
Puro y Tacón.
I understood that part.
A lot of people have been asking about an episode in English. Today is the day. We have a very sophisticated man that it's a musician by heart, professional jazz drummer. And also, he's the co-founder of one of the cigars that we're having today. I'm going to try this for the first time with him by my side. That's all I have. Ferio Tego Michael Herklots.
What's up?
Or Herklots. How do you say that?
Herklots.
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 All right, so you were right. I would say Herklots.
Herklots.
Okay.
Herklots.
Michael, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and
taking
thank
the
you for
time.
doing this in English.
You-
Bueno, necesito practicar mi español, pero not here,
Not today.
and not now.
We're going to share this because we were having some issues. So if you want to ask something, just tap, please. I'm not ready. Okay.
I'm gonna hold it too. That way the levels are the same.
Michael, I mentioned at the beginning you're a musician.
Yeah.
You're a jazz drummer.
Yes.
Okay. And I see a lot of that musician, that art in your cigars, from the design, from the elegancia that it has. I haven't tried it, so I can't say anything, but about the taste, I'm gonna have it now. But I do a lot of that, and when you do that explanation about your cigar, you can tell that you really think cigar is an art, and I love that.
It is an art, and so is music. And I think when people approach art for the effort of learning it, or trying to understand it, or trying to be involved in it, it feels forced, which becomes quite obvious, I think.
Yes.
But when passion comes naturally,
Yeah.
and you can easily fall in love
Yes.
with art, with music, with cigars, with something that is passion driven. It makes the creative process, I think, more authentic and more real, and also more personal. And when we work on these blends, for example, they really are very personal. It's no different than writing a song, or no different than performing on stage. It's a reflection of what I'm feeling and what I love, and you want to make it meaningful and memorable every time someone listens to that song, you know? In this case, we're cutting it and lighting it and firing it up, but it's the same responsibility in my mind.
When you did the blend for your cigar, and when you were doing starting, thank you, and I'm gonna do a match, with the music and the art of the cigar. Did you have any influence by any women, or was your blending, was it shaped by any woman? I know your side of man in the music and your family, but what about the female? What about the women?
I don't believe that art is designed with gender in mind. I mean, the audience is the audience, and a song is a song.
Okay.
And when I'm at a cigar event and someone says, "Do you have a good cigar for women?" I usually say something like, "It must be hard for you to go out for dinner when there's not a ladies' menu at the restaurant."
Absolutely, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we're going to eat the same, and we're going to drink the same, and you like things that I don't, and I like things that you don't, it has nothing to do with whether you're a female and I'm a male. It has everything to do with the things we want to experience in that moment. And now, I'm certainly influenced by women, but that's because the cigar industry is influenced by women. My life is influenced by my mother and my sister and my wife and my daughters, and at Placencia and at Quesada, there are endless women involved in the process, from sorting to stripping to growing to tasting to supervising. So I would say there are as many women involved in the process as men, and what we are all collectively trying to do is to create something meaningful and memorable for everyone, not just for one side or another side.
All right.
From the beginning, when you start, when you started the retail, and now, how can you describe the woman presence in the cigar industry?
Well, from a retail perspective, if we just look at the evolution, when I started in 1999, it was at the end of that cigar boom. And that cigar boom of the 90s, I think, welcomed a lot of women consumers to the hobby of enjoying cigars. But I think the time spent in that hobby kind of ran its course for a lot of women, and it definitely became a male-dominated hobby again. But let's say from mid 2000s, which was kind of the plateau of the end of that boom, what I think you saw was more lounges and more social opportunities to be exposed to premium cigars and to learn more about them. And so I certainly experienced more introductions to women in social settings where they had already been exposed to whiskey, or they had been exposed to wine, or there was an opportunity to do both. And I think with the increase in confidence that I think women have in enjoying what perhaps was associated as being a male dominant thing, if you look at how that has compounded and changed over the last 15 years, I mean, I think you would be hard pressed to find anyone who would consider this a male hobby today. I think the female influence in the consumer culture in some markets dominates the male presence in those cultures.
Do you think, in your experience going on a tour everywhere, do you think women have a certain type of vitola or a blend that they prefer? For example, I prefer a Lancero. That's, if you ask me which one I do prefer, I like the Lancero. But do you think that is common, or?
I think there are varying levels of comfort when it comes to the size of things that we put in our mouth. And
I agree.
I think-
I couldn't agree more.
I think there are-
I forgot my mic.
I think everyone heard it. Now, it is difficult to talk cigars without getting into some of this.
It's okay.
Listen, I'm not a big guy. I am more comfortable smoking smaller formats because I think me smoking a 6x60, not only is it uncomfortable, but I also think I look ridiculous. So I think formats and vitolas are kind of, on one side, an ability to express yourself. Do you want to wear something tight, or do you want to wear something flowing? Do you like to wear dark, or do you like to wear colors? I think format can say a lot. The other thing that formats offer are a different version of the story. And so Lanceros also tend to smoke a particular way consistently.
Gotcha.
A little more resistance in draw, more dominant influence from wrapper. And so I would also bet if we went down that rabbit hole of Lanceros for you, there would also be a commonality of blend style and of texture that might play better in a Lancero anyway. But I don't believe that there is a set vitola for a set audience. I think that in my process, I blend in a 6x50. That's the story as it happened. Every vitola besides a 6x50 is the version of the story I can tell you with the amount of time I have. So if I don't have a lot of time and I give you the Robusto version, I might leave out some of the dirty little secrets, but you're still going to know the beginning and the end.
Gotcha.
If we have lots of time and you smoke a 6x60 Gordo, then I'm really going to get into the dirty bits and tell you everything that happened the way it happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a question that is always in my mind, and I do it often. What do you think about those that practice to put flavors on the cigars, thinking that it's the best way to conquer women.
Or to attract them.
I think clearly you don't understand women. I I think it's silly. Well, it's misunderstanding
The concept of the
everything. And it's not something that's acceptable if you look in other segments. Like I said before, you don't change the menu for women.
Yeah.
This idea that women want to drink some, apple whiskey and not regular whiskey. No, the last time I checked, women drink whiskey, women drink rum, women drink wine. And half the time it's their boyfriends that are drinking the strawberry flavored bullshit. You know what I mean? So I don't buy it.
That is something that got my attention in one of your interview, and what's about the way that you describe how you want your brand to be established. So you said in one of the many interviews that I watched that you want to be like a song. That every time that people goes to your cigar, it's the same blend, the same sensation, even when those experience change because of the place that you are, the moment that you're looking for, that you are drinking. But that connects me with the real meaning of cigar for myself. And when I started smoking, and actually now, every time that I do it, I remember my grandfather. And that is what I'm looking for when I smoke cigars. I'm not looking for flavors, strawberry, that is for ice cream. I think that the same way that you do, I don't think that because I'm going to the army, the clothes instead to be green have to be pink because I'm a girl.
Right.
For me, that doesn't make any sense. So, what is that part for you?
The first part that you said about thinking of it like a song. When 4 generations ago, you smoked one brand, one blend, one size, one thing. You also drank one thing. So, and if you only smoked, whatever, cigar number 2, and it was a Lonsdale, and you only drank Crown Royal, and I smoked the same blend and brand but a different size, and I drank Canadian Club. It's literally almost the same thing. But if I came to your house, you would have what I wanted, and if you came to my house, I would have what you wanted, because it was so specific. That thing had to be the same all the time. But our generation now has evolved. We think about the time of day, the weather, what else we're eating and drinking, and we eat and drink and listen to music and dress within a range based on how we feel and where we're going. And that's the way people are consuming today. And so we think about it so much more. We put so much more thought into those choices because the moments mean more to us today, that I believe we have to be as consistent. The Ferio Tego portfolio has to be as consistent as the playlist on your phone. Because when you get in your car, before you start it, you're picking the first song to pull out. And it's not always the first song. It's not always the same song, right? If you're pissed off, there's a song for that. If you're happy because something just happened, there's a song for that. You pick the thing that matches your mood or changes your mood or influences you in a meaningful way. And I believe it's exactly the same for cigars. And so while many of my competitors spend every month working on a new cigar to drop this quarter, that's another story that you have to learn and maybe love. I want you to love our songs and hit play anytime you want them. And if it takes the same amount of time and effort and money to maintain as it does to create another one, I mean, when you get in your car and you go to back out, you're not listening to a new song for the first time. There's no way. You're listening to something that you've already thought about that's going to affect the way you feel in that moment. And that's how I really believe cigars need to be, which is also why we have creamy and elegant and round and buttery, because sometimes you want to listen to a love song. And it's also why we have richer, more meaningful, and fuller bodied, because sometimes you want to listen to rock. And then we also have peppery and spicy and real man, as you put it before we got on. And sometimes you want to listen to metal. And it's okay to like all three, but they're specific enough that you can make the decision before you light it. And we're consistent enough to make sure that when you do cut it and light it, it's exactly what you were expecting.
We were talking about the Ferio Tego portfolio, and we have three here. You have the Elegancia, you have the Generoso, which is that a masculine? It's a masculine word in Spanish. And I have Suma.
It's an adjective word.
So exactly. So if you were to describe to a woman, I want you to describe it to a woman, each one, Elegancia, the Generoso, and the Suma. How would you describe it?
Elegancia is like creme brulee,
Okay.
upside down. It starts with the vanilla and the honey and all, but it's rich. It's not light. The body is big. The mouth feel is heavy, but the flavors are creamy and elegant and smooth. But as you smoke it, the flavors develop into more toffee and caramel, and some of that darker Nicaraguan influence moves up in the palate. So it's dynamic, but it's graceful. It's full-bodied, but it's not aggressive.
Okay.
Generoso is, I picked the word generous meaning rich, meaning that it has more flavor. The real man that keeps on giving, but also sometimes needs to take a break. I can't wait to see the subtitles on this one. I believe cigars are songs, cigars are stories, which means no song is just the chorus. No story is just, one sentence over and over and over again. You have to have chapters, and you have to have something that makes you want to turn the page or makes you want to keep listening. And so that's the way I blend.
Yeah.
And so the way our cigars end are never the way they start between these three blends especially. So Generoso, for me, starts with a bit of pepper and spice and richness, a more obvious intensity that then kind of slows down a little, regroups, catches his breath,
Take a breather.
and then
Let's go.
he
Alright.
says, "All right, let's go again."
It's exactly like that. I tried with a friend of mine that we used to we are do the cigar. So, and he said, "Hey, what are you smoking?" And I said, I want to try this cigar and see what's going on. I'm not an expert. I'm a passionate aficionado for the cigar. And I have a very humble, humble?
Yeah.
Not
Well, if
humble.
you say
I'm
you're
not-
humble, you're not humble.
Yes, that is not true. I have a very, my opinion.
Yeah. Try not to move the
So-
mic. Let me
Yeah, you hold it.
Yeah, I'll hold it for
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry.
We talk with our hands.
Yes.
That is my, sorry.
I'll hold it for you. It's okay.
Nice. Ahora perdí la idea.
Alright. So,
So I tried, and my first draw was like, wait a second, what is this? But at the same time, it's something that catchy. It's not that you try and said, you know what, I will not continue. It's something that make you to go
From the first puff,
Yeah.
Elegancia, from the first puff. This is your first time smoking Suma,
Yes.
but it says something from the first puff. We forgive.
dale.
We-
Dale, que I like
You have
it.
to watch
The-
our
the-
episode. You will
the first inch, okay, we often forget about. We say, wait till you get into it more and you pay attention. But as a new brand, the moment in between you paying for it and you tasting it, you are thinking about the other cigar that you were going to buy with that money. which means that in the first puff, if that cigar doesn't deliver something that's captivating, that piques your interest and says, I want more of this, then for that whole first inch, you are regretting the decision, right? And
See,
even
I'm
if it gets good, in that first inch, you're like, this was a bad idea. So you gotta,
maybe a very good idea.
you have to say something in the beginning that says, okay, let's do this, and then it can change and evolve. But it has to be the first puff. Has to be. And we spend time in the blending process making sure.
Let's talk about that. The blending part. How long did it take? Do you think about a blend and then you're like, okay, this is not what I want, or let me just think about this and just
Not
put it
anymore.
there. Not anymore.
So in the early days, I had an idea for a blend like Timeless Prestige, first blend I ever did. And I said, okay, to achieve that experience, I think these are the tobaccos I need. And then let's blend to create the thing I have in mind. But as you do that, you're also creating other blends along the way. Let's say I'm trying to create one blend. I'll make 5 samples. One will get to where I want it to go. Those other 4 are like sketches in a sketchbook. They're just ideas that aren't finished. But even though you're working on new things all the time, you're also working at finishing some of the old ones. Like, I have another idea on how to make that better. Let me work on that some more. And so in my sketchbook, I have one from Dominican and one from Nicaragua that's 12 years old. Sometimes you go back and say, that was a cool blend. Let's pull that out and play with it and try and take it to a different direction. So Elegancia Generoso and Suma were blends that were in my sketchbook that when it was time to start the business, I already had works in progress that I could then take to finality.
Just to wrap it up, let's talk about price a little bit, because I see a lot of cigars that are very expensive. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not that good for the price. And we call those people ring smokers. That would be in English.
Yeah.
Fumadores de anillo, ring smokers. What are your thoughts about the price compared to Ferio Tego or in general?
I think, so I want to say the second part first. We consume brands because we love brands. We love the way the brands make us feel, and we love the way the brand makes us feel because we know it makes other people feel something too. The cars that we drive, the clothes that we wear, we flex and brag with our bands because it says something about us. And so I'm a believer in the power of brand. But I also believe that you should be able to answer why you love that brand, what it means to you. Because if it's just the fanciest one, that's the most expensive, and therefore that's the one you want to be seen with, then you don't understand why you love it. It's just a brand or a label to you. So I think there has to be a case for both. I want you to love this band. I want you to see it in your humidor, and I want you to think about moments that you've had. Right. And I want to have the band on because I want other people to see it. And to them, it's if you know, kind of right now with Ferio Tego, right? Not everyone knows Ferio, but if you know, you know. Now, that said, when you get to price, there are some brands that already have the equity in their brand to command higher prices. But that's because they have the receipts to back it up. They have the equity and the pedigree of aged tobaccos, bales and bales, decades and decades of enjoying that cigar at that price. But there are other brands, to your point, that are priced high only to be priced high. And in the absence of proof for why, well, then you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And to me, that's obvious. So for pricing for me, I believe that the consumer has to win. And so when we don't create for price, we create to make the greatest, to write the greatest song, to tell the greatest story. And to be more complex and to be more dynamic and to have the first inch sing, it sometimes it costs more using older tobaccos, using more tobaccos from more places, and the packaging and the bands and the printing are all part of that story that help us feel differently about something. But at the end, you should be able to look at it and say, I got 100% of my money's worth and more. And that's our philosophy. So we start at $7 or $8. Our highest cigar is $24. $24 is not inexpensive. That's a lot of money to light on fire.
Yeah, somebody that used to smoke.
Right.
A lot.
But I don't care how much money you have. Burning $25 is a real luxury. I believe that there are plenty of cigars that are 50 and 75 and 100 and 150 that don't come close to being as memorable and complex and dynamic and interesting as Ferio Tego is.
It's difficult. It's difficult. Sorry, I switched from one hemisphere to the other. It's difficult to not to remember a real man.
And
Well-
if it's generoso,
And on top of that,
I didn't talk about Suma. I talked Elegancia Generoso. Suma is the child of Elegancia and Generoso.
exactly. That's what I thought when I learned the name. I was like, elegancia is a woman in Spanish. It's ¿cómo se dice?
Yes, feminine.
A feminine in Spanish, and then generoso is a man.
Yeah,
And then I was like, then suma is the result.
the synthesis.
So it's a family. I love it.
It's-
You are an artist.
Well, I've been called a lot of things, but I'll take artist. But I think Elegancia is really meant to be a very specific experience. I'm a wine lover, which is why we're having a wine tasting today. And I love the idea that Chardonnay is buttery and big and rich, and Cabernet is bolder and more earthy and more tannic and more structure. But then you can have Zinfandel, which is luscious but jammy. It's dark, but it feels round, and that's Suma. Suma is a mouthfeel that's more reminiscent of Elegancia, with flavors influenced more from Nicaragua, so you get more of the chocolate, more of the coffee, and then the binder is Ecuador Sumatra, but the wrapper is Ecuador Corojo. And when you grow anything in Ecuador, it takes on this very sexy feeling and almost silky. So we're all used to smoking Ecuador Connecticut, but when you grow Corojo in Ecuador, you take all of that obvious, spicy, rich, charry note, and you make it graceful and sexy in Ecuador, and then it's got all the flavors and richness without the edges, and it's just soft. And to me, it's
Fantastic.
a killer. Yeah.
Michael, we have to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. I know you're on tour.
Yeah.
This is the second cigar lounge that you are here
Yeah.
in South Florida. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for having that passion.
Thank you.
And deliver it that way. Like a real art.
I-
Thank you so much.
I appreciate, first of all, I appreciate you translating this whole thing now into Spanish. And lo siento que yo no hablo español muy bien, pero okay, well, that's all we can do. But what I would say to anyone watching in English or Spanish is, if you love our blends and if you have an opportunity to taste them, would you do one more thing and share that love with somebody? Post it wherever you post, take a picture of it and text it to a friend, bring it into a retailer. Any way for you to share your love of our blends gives the people around you permission to love it first before they try it, and it gets rid of the skepticism. It makes the first inch even better, and that's all we can do.
Thank you to Ash and Wine for letting us do this episode here. Follow us on every single social media. Puro y Tacón on Instagram and TikTok, everywhere. Subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to our channel in YouTube. Please, don't only watch and no, just go and subscribe.
Everything.
It's just a click. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
High five. Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you so much.